All right, hey, this is Aaron Stelle with West, and I'm really excited here to have Aaron Hurd with the Realtor Property Group at Keller Williams joining me today. And first off, Aaron, thank you for your time, number one, and number two, give me just a little rundown of what does your day look like right now?
My pleasure, and thank you for having me on, Aaron.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I love working with your guys' company. West and WFG has done a lot for us, and I'm grateful for the opportunity to kind of give back where I can.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, my pleasure. So what does my day look like right now? Well,
Yeah.
I'm a real estate agent, and I have a real estate team. And so our day is pretty well structured as a normal real estate day might be structured. So I have the luxury of talking with a lot of real estate agents, new and veterans, and in between. And I ask them often, it's like, what do you vision the ideal day or a typical day in the life of a real estate agent looking like? And I get these wild images of like, oh, we spend all of our time, hanging out with people, touring homes all the time, constantly negotiating contracts. Those are the activities that a typical day in the life of a real estate agent looks like. Like, okay, that's a beautiful dream. And the reality is a real estate agent and a business are pretty similar. The business, though, has to funnel leads into the business to capture, connect, and convert your clientele, or to become your clientele to purchase your product, right? And most people don't think like a business person. And so for me, my day is structured around finding the leads, right? Where are the people that are interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate right now, even with the global pandemic that we're experiencing? There's a lot of motivated people out there, Aaron. I mean, just in the past, just in the past 14 days, I don't know if you know this, but there's been a little over 1,000 homes penned in the Portland metro area. So it's like 1,020 or something like that. The average list price versus sales price, so the sellers that are listed at, let's say, $400,000, which is close to our area median sales price, they're selling it at 99.4%.
Wow.
Like,
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge number.
This is interesting because I want you to think about this for a second. The sellers that are on the market today, given the pandemic, they are serious, right? Like, they're motivated. They have a desire to sell, and it's not due to greed in most places where they're like, I'm just gonna, profit. No, they have a need, whether it's a relocation to be closer to family. They got work relocations. They're in the medical industry, and they no longer can work from a home scenario. They have to work in a corporate plaza, and they're taken to, Call of Duty type things. Like, they're moving. They have to.
So let me ask you this. We've had several conversations over the last couple of years, and I know you had some pretty lofty goals. Have you adjusted those at all, or are you pretty much just staying with what you started with?
Staying with what I started with, and here's why. Gary Keller is one of my mentors, and the guy has written some incredible literature on real estate, starting with the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. And business is simply a math formula. Now, if our activities have changed dramatically because the activities that we chose to do before to be in alignment with hitting our goals, which, by the way, we are in alignment with hitting our goals, they have shifted, and it's what used to work doesn't work anymore. What I was going to say, there's 1,020 transactions so far this month, or in the past 14 days. That means there's 2,040 sales in our market. There's a buyer and a seller, right? So there's 2 transactions for every single one. And so 2,000 opportunities showed up in the past 14 days. And so you can't have this belief as a real estate professional that there's no business being done right now. You cannot bury your head in the sand. You have to look at it and say, a day in the life of a real estate agent is finding the motivated. Who am I going to call today such that by doing it is going to give me the opportunity to interview for the job to be their real estate professional when they're ready and they're comfortable, right?
Yeah. So with that being said, obviously you're going through and you're calling and you've got leads and you're doing nurture and things like that. what are you, you'd mentioned you're tweaking your systems a little bit. Like, what are you using today that you weren't using previously, or what have you done to kind of stay relevant and to stay focused, I guess, in the current environment?
Great question. Relevance in the market is subjective. Yeah, I think it's really important to understand that, as a salesperson, selling is not telling. Now, the person that tells the greatest story has the most followers, though. Right. So it's important. You got to tell the right story. So what's the story that you choose to tell? I choose to tell the story of, look, there's been 2,000 people that have achieved their real estate goals this month so far, right? 1,000 sellers and 1,000 buyers. They're in alignment with achieving their real estate goals. And if you have a goal to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, it's happening. And you can take advantage of the incredibly historical low interest rates right now if you're a buyer, and take advantage of the incredibly high equitable value that you have as a seller in most cases, right? And you got to ask yourself, Aaron, like, look, what's likely to happen with housing values in the next 30, 60, 90 days, given this current circumstances we have in our world?
It's a great question. Like the
Let me ask,
overarching theory, I would think that they would go, oh, go ahead.
Yeah, would you bet that they're likely to go up or more likely to go down?
So based on all the economic data, you'd say, no, they're more likely to go down because people are going to be forced to sell. The thing that we're seeing, though, is there's still tight inventory because people are scared to actually put their house on the market. So they're staying strong. And so it's tough.
So you and I in the industry, we understand that, right? 99.4% of the list price is the sales price. We have a 60-day average day on market, which we're still seeing multiple offers on many of the listings that we're getting, and with zero physical tours. We're literally not having any opening of the door and having tours, and people are saying, I want to buy it. Where do I write the offer? How do I do this? Like with our strategies, we're making it happen. Though the story is important to tell. And the point I want to get across is when you ask any individual, just traditionally, is like, well, if you were to bet, if you're a betting person, would you bet that the housing values are going to increase or decrease over the next 90, 120, 180 days? 99.9% of them are going to say what?
They're probably going to say it's going to go down.
It's going to go down, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's a bad bet to place, right? It's like, okay, even if the data shows us that it may not, who cares? I think on an emotional aspect, that could be true. And so if you believe that it's going to go down, why wouldn't you want to pull the most amount of equity out of your home today and not gamble the loss of it?
No, and that's fair.
Are you ready and prepared to do so?
So you mentioned something that I find interesting is, you see a lot of people out there and you talk about, he who tells the best stories has the most followers. And there are the substantiated stories and the unsubstantiated stories out there. And you have the people that can back up what they say and they can't. Like, what do you do? And also, I'm going to add one more layer to this. Right now you have the sales side and you have the human side because there's a lot of struggling and stuff going on. Like, how do you balance all that, telling the right story, being a salesperson, but still being genuine, backing it up, and then making sure that you are taking care of people as well?
Yeah, gosh, another great question, man. Nothing has changed a lot for us because I believe that, this is a human being business. Like we have to be, it used to be belly to belly and face to face, though now it's just simply face to face via virtual.
It's earbud to earbud.
Yeah, right. It's no longer belly to belly, though it is there's a vast human element to it. And as a salesperson, my job is not to sell real estate. We're middlemen. We're designed to help people achieve their goals and help people make the right decisions for their family. And so as a salesperson, and what I'm working with my team on is helping to understand that a no, not right now is a great answer if the client is that's their definitive answer. They've explored all the other options. But if they're saying, I really want to sell my home, I really want to pull the money out of it, which then would allow me to go and move closer to my grandkids, because I fear that if I don't, I'm not going to have a relationship with my grandkids. And that's something that I really desire to have. but I don't really want to right now because of the current circumstances in our marketplace. So it's like I'm torn, right? So now it's like I want to, but I don't think I'm going to. As a salesperson, it's not my job to sell them on the idea of doing it. It's to explore every opportunity of what they need to do or can't do. So I'd ask questions like, so is the pandemic the only reason why you're choosing to not put your house on the market with me today? And they go, frankly, yeah, that's like the only thing, because we're afraid of, bringing Corona into our house or getting it or whatever. We're that prime age group. Like, totally understand. Now, Aaron, if I could show you a way and you believed it was appropriate and you were comfortable with it, so if I could show you a way on how we're helping our clients actually receive multiple offers with zero physical tours of their homes, and they're selling their homes for really high values right now. I mean, we've had multiple offers over list price recently. If we could show you a way and you believed it and you understood how it worked, that we could get your home sold, we can pull that money out and help you buy that perfect home closer to your grandkids, would you do that right now? And if they're like, if they're like, yes, then great. Sounds like we should really get together over this computer system. I'll send you instructions. We'll teach you how to go through the process. It's really, really simple, right?
Yep.
Or if they say no, then it's like, perfect. Would you be offended if I stayed in contact with you and I earn the right to have your business opportunity when you're ready and this whole thing washes out?
Yeah. Well, and that's the whole thing is, so now you're still looking to match their end goals with what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
So you brought up the no physical showing procedure. So what are you, I mean, there's all kinds of tools out there. You've got the Matterports of the world. You've got a whole bunch. I mean, you could just use like a GoPro or an Osmo or something like that. What are you using to actually make that happen right now?
So we're sparing no expense, and we're going with the Matterport system.
Okay.
And so it's a little bit more expensive for sure, though it's one of the most fluent programs that we've seen, and it works great on mobile phones, and it's not like weird shaved images and stuff. It really shows off. And we have fixer-uppers. We have, really entry-level homes. We've got nice updated homes that we have all kinds of them out there.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see. We actually sold a house recently, 3 weeks ago. We put it under contract. It was 3 days on the market. There was 18 people. So this is what we're doing here, and I'll just share the process.
Okay.
This is the home, business as usual, right?
Yep.
So when we sign the listing contract, we send it over digitally. We bring it in. Then we hire our photographer out there who does pro photos along with Matterport tours. That's the one person that needs to enter the home,
yep.
Right? So we don't need to physically go in the home. We set up an exchange process to leave the spare key under the door. We'll put the lockbox on the front. We don't need to do this exchange, right? So the photographer goes in, they take the tour, they do the Matterport thing, they bring it back. Now we list it in our MLS, and we say, hey, we have a home for sale, and we do our own reverse marketing. We call the agents, we do everything, to promote our listing as usual. But then this is where the twist happens. We can't say no showings. It's a no-no. Right. So we say there's full showings. And whenever an agent calls and says, hey, I got a client that wants to look at your house, can we schedule a time for tomorrow? We say, hey, you can schedule time right this second. Here's a virtual tour. After you review it, we'll call you back and we'll get feedback, right? So you can virtually tour the home, which is very nice, but they have to call and request it. So then I call the agent and say, hey, what'd you think? What kind of feedback do you have? Are you guys prepared to write an offer? Is this the top of your search, or like, what are you thinking?
Yep.
Then we could share that feedback with the sellers and say, hey, sellers, they felt like the condition of the carpet and paint, it just wasn't in alignment with the pricing structure. That's a common thing that we're hearing. So that's why they don't want to write an offer or even continue to want to look at the home physically. But that's what we're doing. We're finding, we had 18 people request tours. 3 people in our follow-up said, my clients love it. They want to buy it. One person says they're really uncomfortable writing an offer without looking at it first. The other 2 people said, we want it. We're writing. We ended up competing. One went $9,000 over list price.
Wow.
We're closing next week.
So I know one of the things we talked about when this first kind of it started rolling is we even talked about doing things where it was basically using your exact process and then saying subject to interior inspection, like what you did a lot of times with investment properties. Is that kind of the realm you're going into?
That's what we anticipated happening, but to be honest, the contracts that came through, they didn't have the clause. So it's like, yeah, those, and I confronted them. And so my agent, I was like, there's no clause of subject to an interior inspection. That's kind of scary. Question it before we accept an offer. And here was the response. We grew up in the area. My best friend lived in that house when we were really little. I haven't been there for 30 years, but I know the neighborhood. I love it. We've been looking for a while. That's the house that we want to call home.
Perfect. Well, and I really do think, like, I mean, I think this will be some forced adoption for some of these tools. And I know Matterport could be a little cost prohibitive for every listing if we're not in this right now.
Yeah.
But I mean, there are from security, you hear about, things like jewelry or pills or things like that being stolen at open houses or in walkthroughs and things like. If you can eliminate a lot of that unnecessary traffic, the other thing is like, we hear things where it's like, you get things staged up and then the seller's got, a young family or something like that. So it doesn't stay as nice as what it could be because that's just what happens. This process of like, hey, don't go into the house until you've done the digital walkthrough, I think is something that could stick around. Like, what do you think coming out of this, if we're looking at it on a go forward, not right now basis, what do you think are the trends that are going to stay?
I think that the digital world is here to stay forever. The digital listing consultations, the digital buyer consultations, where we have consultative interviews to teach people how to buy a home and get clarity on their goals and figure out what they like and need and want in a home. Like really, really identifying that. That's here to stay. I don't see any reason why it would go away. Now, there's a select group of people that won't adopt the technology even after it, though we're talking a small percentage overall. Somebody said once recently, he says, people tolerate doing things differently when times are different. And right now, times are very different. So people will tolerate doing things differently. And if we maintain doing things differently for the study shows 66 days, you form a habit. And then once that habit's there, it's like, okay, this is just the new normal now. It's no longer doing it different. This is just what it is.
Right.
So we're talking about this weird point in our time where it's a lot of change, and yet that change is going to become the new normal in what, 30 days? Not even. Like we've been in this for a while now.
Yeah. Well, and that's, I think, one of the things that I'm even finding is while there are parts of this that are, I will be honest and say, are a struggle for me, there are also parts of it that I'm just like, now I just accepted that this is my world now, and so along those lines, I know you brought up, we in the history of real estate agents and real estate brokers, it's been somewhat of an archaic industry. We talked about a little this on, offline, where it's like even the way that things are recorded county by county and there's different rules and different forms and all that stuff. Like what do you see the industry doing kind of on a go forward basis?
Yeah, I don't know if the industry is going to overall change a whole lot. I mean, I think the contracts and legalities will button up and tighten up some of the physical aspects or lack thereof of real estate. I mean, just because I believe people will, become, jaded around a virtual aspect, and they got under contract and then they terminated, and then there's going to be some disputes. And so I think our agreements will tighten up a little bit greater, though I don't believe that the number of households that will sell or purchase or anything. I mean, Lawrence Yun, the NAR's chief economist, the National Association of Realtors chief economist, he's only predicting or estimating a 10% reduction of sales in the spring market. That means 90% of the homes that were going to sell likely will. Guys, that's a lot of opportunity. So I think as a real estate practitioner, I don't believe a lot is going to change. Now, every day we are watching the numbers like a hawk. It could change overnight. We don't know. Though I believe, like I was saying earlier, it's like business is a math formula, Aaron. If we understand what activities it takes to generate the results that put us in alignment with hitting our goals, and we move through it with a fiduciary responsibility, helping people achieve their goals, helping people understand what options they have, because there's a lot of fear and false information out there, and so it's like, just help them understand it. And if we do that and we understand, look, if I talk to on average 13 people, one of those 13 people has a goal to do real estate in the next 12 months. And if I know that, and if I know that if 50% of them that have goals to do it actually do it, and if I want to sell 100 homes, well, I just need to go have 1,300 conversations to find that, you can break it down or whatever the numbers are.
So one last question, I'll let you get out of here. So with that being said, I have seen, even in the conversations we've had, fear from real estate brokers, and I've seen it on, I've seen it on social. I've seen it where they're not working, whether that be because their clients aren't doing anything, whether it's because they're kind of scared to venture out. Like, what do you see? I've seen teams, because you obviously have a large team, and I've seen them kind of go different directions where it's like, nope, I'm going to hunker down, go lean and mean. And I've seen other people where they're like, kind of sounds like the direction you're going, where you're like, no, there's an opportunity here. This is where you actually grab a bigger piece of the pie. What are your thoughts on kind of building your team and continuing to go full speed ahead? And also, what advice would you give to realtors that are a little bit scared and unsure right now?
Yeah, so I'll tell you the direction I'm going, and then I'll give you my input on advice. The direction I'm going is full on growth phase. I understand that the number of people in the market is less today than it was 3 weeks ago. That's a reality, but that doesn't mean that there isn't an abundance of opportunity. We're talking, hundreds of millions of dollars of commission revenue being shared or distributed here in the Portland metro area this year. And so it's, I think we're going to look at it and say, our grow model is pivoted or changed a little bit to increase our market share, because we need to increase our overall activities. And I can't expect one individual to go from making this many conversations to this many conversations every day and feel good about it.
Right.
So it's like, all right, getting clarity in that. We're definitely in a growth phase. I mean, shoot, I've recently hired 2 amazing people in my organization just this past 2 weeks, with incredible intent and purpose. And it's like, we have big goals. My goal, Aaron, is to sell $1 billion in volume here in the next 5 years. So in 5 years, sorry, I apologize. In 5 years, we will sell $1 billion that year, which in our market is about 2,700 home sales. Now, to do that, you're not going to do that with 5 agents, right? It takes a nice concerted effort amongst a large group of people. So we're committed to that goal, and the team is rallying around it. Like, look, we know this is what the future is going to look like. Today is just a small blip in time, and it changes our activities, but we're not giving up on that. We're focusing on it, which takes growth and activities and all that stuff. Now, as an agent, where am I focusing if I have a little uncertainty? Well, I'm not going to bury my head in the sand, first of all. I look around, talk to team owners like myself, Aaron, that have been through a shift. I mean, my career was birthed in 2008 when we identified the largest U.S. housing crash in history, right? It was ugly, and yet that's when I chose to start, because I'm brilliant.
Right. Exactly. We'll go with that. It's all about timing.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and what's interesting though is that when I walked into it, there's a lot of this fear in the marketplace, and all the agents that were used to it being one way are now having to shift and focus on a different. I knew no better, so it's like, this is what we do, right? And we figure it out. Well, you come through that, you develop a different set of skills or habits that other people didn't have already. And so as an agent that might have a little uncertainty, consult with team owners like mine that have been through a shift, and talk to them about, don't go at it alone. When you're by yourself and you don't have accountability of showing up every day and sharing your wins and sharing your struggles and being accountable towards a select number of activities that you've committed to doing to move your business forward every day, and you don't have the leads or infrastructure to support you in generating more opportunities that you didn't have before, Like if you don't have those things, get them overnight by joining up with somebody that does. I mean, we have it. Aaron, we have it. We have a lot of leads coming in. We have a lot of opportunity. And my agents right now, the 5 of us, they are overwhelmed with the amount of opportunities. And they're like, we need more help to help the people that are showing up, raising their hand saying, I'm interested. I may not be committed, but I'm interested in real estate right now.
Yeah.
So,
well, and we have had, I mean, it's been one of those things. It was a booming real estate market. And so we've had a lot of people come into this market basically right when this is happening. So, you know, I, like you, I was actually still in the real estate space as well in 2008. And, you know, it was just like, okay, what do? You do short sales, or you get in, try to find a piece of REO, or I mean, you just find something different. And having guidance through, you know, the tough times, I think is going to be essential for a lot of agents to kind of stay in the game, really. So with one last question here. So if somebody wants to get a hold of you or chat with you, what's the best way to make that happen?
oh man, an email or a text. So my mobile number, 503-752-7671. That's personal mobile number. Just anybody just shoot me a text or give me a call. Text is always best. And or email, Aaron@realtourproperties.com, and you'll get me.
Perfect. Well, I really appreciate your time. Thanks a lot for spending a few minutes with me. And dude, I'm happy to hear that you're still out there killing it, my man.
Thanks, Aaron. I appreciate you, man.
See you, bud.